Rolling?
Rolling.
Man. All right. Back here at the MicroShiner podcast with the founder, Kobe Williamson. I'm your host, Ryan Hickey. Kobe, welcome.
Thanks, Ryan. Stoked to be here.
Absolutely. I like those tunes. Who
Yes.
was that?
That is my friend Brian O'Neill. He goes by Traff the Wiz. He's one of the few hip-hop artists from Montana.
Cool.
And he's got a couple albums out. That's, I think, off of his second album, but he's got a couple albums out. And good stuff. Hopefully we'll get him over here one day. We were talking right before we started that he usually works on Sundays at some dive bar casino pouring Bud Lights. And so it's hard for him to get over here. But we're going to get him on one of these days, even if we have to go find him.
I like the beginning of that tune. You should list the info in the credits for folks.
Absolutely, we'll put that in the show
The
notes.
tunes were cool. They make me kind of take me back to the basement next door or downstairs or one of these buildings around here. The red light, green light room.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Like one room is kind of trancy and then the other's like some other crazy mushroom induced buzz.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. But yeah, that was very cool tunes and hopefully get to meet him. So it's been, I don't know, a week or two since our last podcast. What's been going on?
Well, of course, 2 weeks ago we weren't here. We ran up to Steel Toe. We hung out with Carl, and that was awesome.
Fucking
obviously.
Carl.
Yeah, fucking Carl. That guy was great. Really appreciated him having us out, everything that he had to share. And it was also cool because some other folks who saw that episode have since reached out. So Whistling Andy gave us a shout, and we're like, hey, we saw Carl. Come on up. And so
Cool.
we got a couple new connections out of that. Knew those folks before, but they're excited to have us up, so we'll be planning that.
Right on.
Yeah, so that was good. And then last weekend we didn't do the show because I went to Spokane for a dryland dog race, and I had
Okay.
hoped to connect with a couple distilleries over there, but I wasn't able to make that happen.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about the distilleries and we mentioned it. We spoke to Carl about it, the comings and goings of distilleries and what it takes to get up and running. And I think you maybe wanted to talk about how you tried to reach out to a couple over there and they are no longer.
Absolutely. Carl brought it up a couple times. If you watch that episode with him, he starts talking a little bit about how he thinks that there's going to be a bit of a coming bubble pop with the craft distilleries, and as he kept saying, the blush is coming off. The blush is off now, and now we're going to see who's going to keep up, and who's going to play in the space, and who's going to have the legs and stay around. And I tend to agree with him a little bit, simply because I have some real strong opinions about what it takes to survive in this space and understanding what the real market is. And a lot of folks, I think, got into this thinking that they were, going to become a big spirits brand, and that they were going to be able to create a brand and then sell out of that, or kind of like Tito's move into be a significant player in a space. And I just don't think that that's actually what this craft thing is all about. I think it's about something else. So I think we're going to see a few of them failing, and we can, definitely talk about that more as we go along. The two that I reached out to were 23 Window in Spokane, and we were really enjoying those guys because we like Volkswagens, right?
Yeah.
And he had a 23 Window that he was using.
Beautiful bus.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was always parked in his distillery space, and
Yeah.
He took it out to tastings and stuff. And I mean, he just went crickets. I hit him up on every channel I could hit him up on, and didn't get a hold of him. And you mentioned you thought he was probably gone.
Yeah.
Because it had been years since not years, but like a year since he'd been on Instagram or
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
And then the other one was Tin Bender, which a funny thing about that is we went over there for that dog race, and we met up with some of my wife's family and had dinner, and we got talking about distilleries and stuff. And her uncle Wayne says, oh yeah, I knew this guy was making whiskey, and he was making it in this building that the Catholic Church owned, and he just had to sell out because they said, we don't want you making whiskey in there. And I said, he said, he's a metal worker, heck of a metal worker. And I said, is that Tin Bender? And he's like, yeah, that's the guy. I said, yeah, because I just called him. I wanted to go sit down with him and do this, while I was over there. And no dice, There was
Bummer.
one other distillery in Spokane, which is pretty popular, pretty well known, Dry Fly Distilling. A lot of folks know about those guys. And I just was looking for a smaller outfit
Yeah.
at the time, and next time I go over there, I'll try to catch up with Dry Fly. But yeah, it was interesting that 2 out of the 3 in the town of Spokane, which is a pretty decent city,
Yeah, it's kind of big city-ish.
had kind of moved on. So what's that mean? Are we going to see 2 out of 3 everywhere moving on, or is it just particular to Spokane? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think it was interesting. Carl brought up an interesting point and I think he brought the point up because you asked him something about the line, went along the lines of, I'd have to go back and look at the podcast, but now I'm drawing a blank. What was it? If we were going to see more small distilleries, or if he thought we would see them, or how he felt about that. And I think he said that, yeah, I would love to see more small ones instead of gigantic monopoly-ish
Yeah.
type outfits.
Well, I think what we got talking about there is how is this going to stratify out? Because right now, half of the craft volume is coming from like 10% of the craft producers, and
Right.
is that the best way? How is this going to play out with these guys that are trying to flip over that line and kind of graduate from craft into being a true spirit brand where they're competing with other whiskeys and other vodkas in the market for actual share of the market? And all that's super interesting to me. I actually was doing some research about this, and I found something out that I was blown away by, which was that 75% of the alcohol that is drank in America is drank by 10% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 10, it came in at over 10 drinks a day. They're drinking 75 drinks a week. Well, those aren't the craft drinkers, right? Because they simply could not afford to buy craft products.
Right.
I mean, there's a economic price point to those people. So the craft folks only have 25% to be dealing with in the first place, unless they can compete on price point, which most of them can't.
Right.
Because the way that they do stuff means it costs more money.
Yeah.
Ryan Montgomery and I were having a conversation about making a sherry barrel aged whiskey with peat in it, and how much that would cost him to do. He's like, I would be selling bottles for $150 a
Right.
bottle. Which sounds great, and some of us would pay for that.
Sure.
Because we're like, I got to try this. This sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do that every day.
No.
How would you afford that?
Yeah.
And so that's the people that are drinking the commodity booze. And I don't think craft producers are ever going to get into that market. So if that's what you went into it thinking you're going to do, well, the chances of you failing are pretty high.
Right. Yeah, it was great talking to Carl and very enlightening. He's been doing it a long time and knows what he's doing, so it was great to hear his perspective. We should probably talk about what's in front of us.
Oh yeah, we've been waiting all morning.
Which leads me to my story of I had some, I don't know, gut problems, I guess you could say, and I thought it was just life and stress, and then I got to thinking about maybe it's the things I'm putting in my body.
Sure.
And so when it came to food, so long story made short, I changed my diet. I'm a label reader now, and I've jumped on the gluten-free bandwagon. I'm sort of sorry to say. I mean, it's great because I feel healthier, and so I've changed my diet, and it's been like night and day. And then that has led me, so one day I was sitting around and I was like, well, I wonder if there's gluten-free booze and beer. And there is.
Because whiskey and beer, those were part of your diet.
Well, yeah. Yeah, they were and are.
Right.
I'll be the first to admit it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do
You gotta get
supplement.
your calories from somewhere.
Somewhere, and I do supplement with some healthy garden vegetables and whatnot. But yeah, so I got to thinking, well, and did some research and found some brands that are passionate, kind of like you and I, about supporting the little guy. And one of them is Ocean Organic Vodka, which is made in the great state of Hawaii.
Hawaii.
So we reached out to them, and they were kind enough to provide us with a bottle for a sample, and we're going to mix up a Moscow Mule with their fine spirits. But it's kind of an interesting story, and I'll let you maybe talk about the brand and how they distill it and produce it and put it in this really cool looking bottle. But the water that they use comes from deep in the earth. And I read an article, I think, that you maybe sent me, and then I went to their website and started doing more research. The water travels a long ways and comes up close to them, and then they tap the source.
Right.
So I'll mix up a couple cocktails and
Yeah, I say we maybe
do a little test.
do a little test. You know, it's supposed to be unique. I haven't tried it yet. I don't think you've tried it yet.
I haven't.
You know, part of, like you said, how you arrived at this was you were trying to find some gluten-free options. You knew that Tito's was one, but then
You burst my bubble.
we kind of blew Tito's up for you. So then you started hitting the streets trying to find some other options, and this was one of the ones that responded to you reaching out and came back, and we really appreciate these guys. Cheers.
Very much appreciate their sending along.
So this
Cheers.
is ocean vodka made in Hawaii from organic cane sugar that comes off the farm that these folks own. Then they, as you mentioned, they get desalinated seawater. So they get access to some seawater that's pumped up from the bottom of the ocean that comes from this interesting current that comes out of the Arctic, then flows past Hawaii. And then that's desalinated, and they leave some of the minerals in here. So it's supposed to have a pretty interesting kind of blend of the cane sugar and the ocean water.
It's pretty tasty. It's got a little bit different taste than any other vodka I've had.
Oh yeah.
And I'm guessing that's how it's distilled.
You know, I think it starts with the ingredients because they, so vodka, one thing about vodka. So the difference between, say, rum and vodka is, and really vodka and anything, is that to be truly vodka, you have to distill it up to over 190 proof.
Yep.
If you are anything less than that, then it's not a vodka. And that's pretty much pure alcohol. You can't get much better than that. So what they then do with this vodka is they blend it back with some water.
Okay.
And then they're adding some of that. They take the cane, they press it, mash it, ferment it, basically make a beer out of it. Then they distill that. Then they have this 190 proof vodka. And once they've done that, they mix it back with some of this ocean water. And so you certainly are going to get some of this ocean water flavor in this ocean vodka. Mm-hmm. And I could certainly taste a little difference between that and some of the other vodkas that I've had, without a doubt.
It's pretty delicious.
Oh yeah, I like it. And I think you can tell, I mean, I'm no connoisseur or sommelier, but I think you can taste a little bit of the cane sugar in it. But that could just
Yeah,
be
I think you can as well. It tastes a little, there's something distinctive about it versus, another vodka. I'm a big vodka drinker. I like vodka. And it does have a little bit of a distinctive taste. I'm not sure if that's...
So what you building here, Ryan?
Well, I'm gonna make a couple Moscow mules for us to pull on. And this Glacier ginger beer that you were nice enough to bring along, what can you tell us about that?
Well, I've only just kind of come to know about these guys, so I don't have as much to share. Hopefully we'll get some more information. They're pretty local to us, so that's exciting. It's Glacier Ginger Brew out of Whitefish, Montana. Really gingery. They say it's got a little kick. Careful, she kicks, it says.
Careful, Buster, she kicks.
Right. But those folks are up there in the Flathead Valley, and they're making this product. I got it at our favorite good food store.
Yeah, nice.
And so we're excited to try that, mixing that with a little bit of the vodka so that we can kind of sample this, in a cocktail as well.
Stir that up. Professional-like with your finger.
Right? Well, let's craft this thing.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, Ryan. Thanks for that.
You bet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That works.
Yeah. So now we're getting into some territory where it's hard to know whether all that goodness is coming from the ocean vodka, whether that's coming from that ginger brew. We threw a little of the Santa Cruz lime juice
A
in.
little pure lime juice. I would say it's just a marination of both of them that are going to get their freak on and really treat us right.
A couple more things about the ocean vodka. You know, we reached out to those guys just as we always do, and we really pressed them for some information about their operation and where they were coming from, because, you know, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create that value proposition for people so that when they go looking for something, you know, they say, hey, I'm looking for an organic vodka. Okay, well, here's this one, and here's what they're all about. I'm looking for a gluten-free vodka. Well, okay, here we got Ocean, and here's a little more information about them. We always try to do that, and they were pretty forthcoming with some stuff. It's always interesting because sometimes you really kind of, it's a little tough to sort through.
Yeah.
But they, you know, they were great. They got back to us. You know, they said that, oh yeah, we own this farm, family-owned farm. Got our distillery there in Maui, and that's where we do our distilling. You know, they've grown quite a bit, so they brought on some real industry professionals that they brought over to Hawaii to help them keep growing and
Oh, cool.
keep getting this over here. They got 30 full-time employees. That bumps up when they're doing the harvest. Another thing they mentioned about their harvest. A lot of people have differing views about the sugar harvest in Hawaii, because some of them are pretty rough on the land. You know,
Yep.
They come and they just chop it down and burn it and create just havoc on the island. And of course, I don't know if you've ever been to Maui, but like at least half the people in Maui are tourists at any one given time. And so you got to keep those people happy, because that's a huge part of the economy.
Yeah.
And so these guys don't do that. They treat the land a lot better than a lot of the other folks. You can get this ocean vodka just about anywhere in the U.S. Most places are carrying it, and then you can also get it online, I think, through a few places. We talked about the ocean water. You know, they find that to be really important in what they're doing.
Yeah, I was perusing their website, and what kind of stood out to me was how they speak about and take care of the land. I know there's some other, I don't know, industries, I guess, that maybe don't do what they could or what they should for the land. So it was cool to read about what they do and how they do take care of the land and make sure it's sustainable and they can use it again. And so that was cool. I appreciate that. And then the water, reading about the source, where it comes from, how they are able to tap into it, desalinate it. I was just like, this is really cool. And we've had this for a little while, and I've kind of been chomping at the bit to talk about this vodka and try it. And so I'm psyched. And just reading their website it's a really nice website. It's one of the nicer websites, and whoever did it very well. And I just like the fact that they're small, family-run business. And in my mind, this is craft distilled. It's a small, sustainable business. It's, you know, I think you mentioned they bring on some seasonal workers, and so that's putting money into the economy and supporting them, which we're all for here. So I was really excited to try it. It's very tasty. Makes a really nice Moscow Mule, and I'm sure any other kind of concoction that you want to come up with. So reading, just from checking out their website and reading a couple articles, because it can be hard to find and kind of muddle through where it's sourced and how it's produced. And so I think they were kind enough to make that known to their audience, and I think it is important. So yeah, it was nice, and hopefully our audience checks it out and goes and gets a bottle and tries it out. It's a cool bottle.
Yeah, you're not going to go wrong with trying this. And the thing that I like about them, and there's certainly more to learn about them, but just as a starting point, they're looking at this whole thing end to end, and they're creating the entire process, and they're bringing it all together as one thing. They're not just making a vodka. They're trying to have a farm. They're trying to be a part of their community. They're trying to make sure that they're farming the land responsibly. So it's an entire ecosystem that they're creating within the ecosystem, which is just exactly what I think we all need to be thinking about right at this time. And my hat's off to them. But the other thing I like about them is, I talk about this with distillers all the time. And I talk about it to anybody that'll listen, to be honest with you. Because it's something I'm really passionate about. And that is, figure out what your value system is, and then use that value proposition to reach out to your customers. So here these folks are, and they've got this really great value proposition. We're all about Hawaii, we're about the water, we're about the land. We want to mix those things into this product. Cane sugar, traditional crop in Hawaii. We want to bring that all together to make this great product for you folks. And then they're so transparent with what they have on their website, and they just put everything out there, which is just, it's like a no-brainer. That why wouldn't you put that out there? Because that's going to help connect you. But so many people are not going through the trouble. They put up their website and they got a big picture. If you go to their website, there's not a big picture of the bottle first thing, right?
Yeah.
The other folks put up a big picture of their bottle. Look at my spirits. My spirits are great. Come drink my spirits. Spirits. Rather than, my granddaddy taught me how to do this. I did it at his knee. I learned about this. Corn mash comes from here, and it did this for that. And this is how this all comes together to make life.
Yeah.
Right?
This is it.
Yeah. That's... A bottle of booze is never going to be life, but you can incorporate life into a bottle of booze. And I think that's what these guys are trying to do.
I agree. I mean, the website it has an organic feel. And, they, I think, are passionate about what they do, just like we are here. I mean, we're just starting out. And, I talked to you the other day about how are we going to make this go and continue? And, we need sponsors to help us. This equipment isn't free. So that's been, on my mind. But these guys I think they probably were under the same type of stress level, like, oh man, we're actually going to do this. But they did it, and it's awesome. And I think their brand is going to continue to grow. And it gives us an opportunity to talk about them, promote them, and hopefully people go and check their website out. Very organic feel, not unlike their vodka. And thanks to the guys at Ocean Organic Vodka for hooking us up with a bottle and giving us some talking points. Which leads me to, there's so much other, you go to the liquor store and you're just overwhelmed with all, unless you do your homework. I don't know how many people are like you and me and sit down and try to find a gluten-free whatever. But you go to the liquor store, I used to go by the handle of whatever. Now that I'm older and I don't want that anymore. And I've said it in other podcasts, and I'll continue to say it. I want to know where my money's going and support the little guy like these guys. Who has time to do all the research and read all the labels? How do you know what's legit?
It takes a lot of hard work, and I think that's where this podcast, that's what we're trying to do at MicroShiner. That's what we aim to do and we're going to do down the line, is to become that source for you so that we can do a lot of that legwork for you. We're going to reach out, we're going to vet all these companies, and then we're going to bring you a podcast like today, and we're going to say, here's one, Ocean Vodka, give it a try. So I think MicroShiner is the first step. Come check us out.